Imagine surviving a war that lasted 10 years, finally winning, getting on your ship, and thinking, that's it, I'm finally going home. Yeah, about that. It would take Odysseus another 10 years to get back, not because he got lost, but because he managed to make one of the most powerful gods in Greek mythology absolutely hate him. And honestly, a lot of it was his own fault. This is the story behind Christopher Nolan's next movie, The Odyssey. But before we get into the monsters, the gods, and everything else, we need to talk about the war that started it all. For 10 years, the Greeks tried everything to conquer the city of Troy. Nothing worked. The walls were too strong. Every attack failed. Then one man came up with an idea so ridiculous that it actually worked. Odysseus. He ordered his soldiers to build an enormous wooden horse. Then the entire Greek army pretended to leave. Imagine you're one of the Trojans. Your enemies suddenly disappear, and the only thing they leave behind is a giant wooden horse. Looks like a victory gift, right? Wrong. The Trojans celebrated. They dragged the horse into the city. They threw parties. They drank. They slept. And while the entire city was celebrating, Greek soldiers quietly climbed out of the horse. They opened the city gates. The Greek army rushed back in. By sunrise, Troy was gone. One of the greatest military tricks in history had worked perfectly. Odysseus was a hero. The war was finally over. All he had to do now was sail home. Simple. Except, Greek mythology doesn't really like simple. A few days into the journey, Odysseus spotted an island. His crew found a cave filled with food, cheese, milk, animals, basically free supplies. His men wanted to grab everything and leave. Honestly, that would have been the smartest decision, but Odysseus was curious. He wanted to meet whoever lived there. That decision changed everything, because the owner of the cave wasn't human. It was Polyphemus, a gigantic cyclops, one eye, about 3 times the size of a normal person, and with an appetite for humans. The giant returned home, rolled a massive boulder over the entrance, and before anyone could react, he grabbed 2 of Odysseus's men and ate them alive. At that moment, Odysseus realized something. Killing the Cyclops wasn't an option. Even if they somehow managed to do it, nobody could move the giant rock blocking the entrance. They'd still be trapped. So instead, he came up with another plan. First, he offered the Cyclops some incredibly strong wine. The giant had never tasted wine before. He loved it. After drinking far too much, he laughed. He talked, and eventually, he passed out. Before falling asleep, the Cyclops asked one simple question. "What's your name?" Odysseus smiled. "My name is Nobody." Weird answer, but you'll see why in a second. As soon as the giant was asleep, Odysseus and his remaining men grabbed a huge wooden stake. They sharpened it, heated it in the fire, and drove it straight into the Cyclops' eye. The giant woke up screaming. He was in agony. The other Cyclopes outside heard the noise and rushed over. "Polyphemus, who's attacking you?" The giant screamed, "Nobody. Nobody is trying to kill me." The other Cyclopes looked at each other, shrugged, and walked away. Because if nobody was attacking him, then there wasn't really a problem. Honestly, it's still one of the smartest tricks in all of mythology. The next morning, the blind Cyclops stood at the cave entrance, feeling every sheep that walked past. He wanted to make sure the humans weren't escaping. But Odysseus had already thought of that too. His men tied themselves underneath the sheep, so when the animals walked outside, the Cyclops only felt wool, not people. Just like that, they escaped. At this point, Odysseus had done it again. He outsmarted a monster, saved the survivors, and escaped without losing everyone. The story could have ended there. Seriously, all he had to do was stay quiet, sail away, and never look back. But Odysseus had one flaw, his pride. As the ship moved farther away, he couldn't help himself. He stood on the deck and shouted across the sea. It wasn't Nobody. It was Odysseus. Huge mistake, because Polyphemus wasn't just any Cyclops. He was the son of Poseidon, the god of the sea. The giant raised his hands toward the sky and begged his father for revenge. Poseidon listened, and from that exact moment, Odysseus stopped trying to get home and started trying to survive. This is part 1. Part 2 is coming.